Welcome to the Patrice Brantley Show, where helping others is the name of our game. And on this show, we push purpose, positivity, and personal growth. Today, we have the absolute honor of speaking with Mr. Forrest Hugman. But I got to tell you, he has a story that is not just one of success and triumph, it's a story of coming up the mountain, enjoying the view, tumbling down the mountain, but getting up and soaring again. I love this. And I got to tell you, if you're joining me today, you're in for an absolute treat. Not only is he an amazing financial businessman, he is a man of faith who speaks about the greatness and the goodness of how you bring your faith into your finances and help your finances to explode. I got to tell you, make sure you're tuning in and keeping it locked. Now, let me go back to me for a second. Have you connected with me on all socials? I need you to head on over to Patrice B Channel on YouTube, on IG. And for my people who know how I love to do my faithful goodness on Sunday in our soul sessions, make sure you check us out at the Patrice B Channel, the number 2, for our next soul session. All right, y'all. Announcement time. Announcement time. Y'all know everything I talk about is dealing with mental health and wellness, but I also like to add some faith into it. We have some great news coming for those who are looking for a counselor or a counseling firm to help you work through life's challenges with ease and grace. I have the solution for you. Make sure you check me out at the 3smovement.com. We are getting an office and we want to be ready to serve you. All right, we're jumping right into it today. Today's opening question is: how do you not just survive a financial divorce, but come out on the other side thriving and successful? Welcome, Mr. Forrest. I am so excited to have you here. Let me do it right. Bring them on in, y'all. Clap it up, clap it up.
Thank you, Patrice. I really appreciate being here. It's an honor.
Thank you for being here. So I'd love for you to start us out. Tell us your story. People want to know all the time, how do I get out of these things that's happening that's causing me to have a little bit of a mess? But as you love to say, your mess will be your message. So tell me about your story.
My story. Well, my story begins a long time ago. We won't say how long ago, but no, seriously. I mean, I was raised in what I thought at the time was a middle class household, but actually turned out to be lower middle class. Now, we never went on public assistance or anything like that, but we never had a lot. So I was told no a lot. Other members of Gen X growing up during the 70s and 80s probably know what that feels like. But
Yes.
what that caused me to do is when I got out of the house, I was like, I'm not going to be the person who has less than or is less than because I don't have as much as everybody else. And I just started spending, putting it on credit cards. And that led to debt piling up, trying to be somebody who I wanted the world to see. And I eventually ended up losing my job. My son was born, I wasn't working, and I was looking at bankruptcy. And so I said, never again will this happen. That started my journey as far as teaching myself financial literacy. And I eventually became a licensed financial advisor, helping other people with their money. And I liked it. I just didn't like selling stuff to people. So that brought me to where I am right now, where I gave up my licenses and now I just help people one to one with their budgeting, saving, paying down debt, investing, those types of things, the basic building blocks of managing your money, but most importantly, your mindset, because it's your mindset that gets you into trouble when it comes to your money. And a lot of people, they overlook that. They think, well, if I just follow this technique or read this book or follow that system, no, you can plug all the systems you want into you, but if you're broken, it's never going to work. And that's the lesson I learned the hard way.
I love how you talked about it's the mindset that made a difference. You even kind of went back, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a circle around. You talked about growing up. Shout out to my Gen X babes, right? I love that how you talked about growing up. We heard the word no a lot. Like that wasn't even a thought process. Like,
Yep.
what? No, that came off the lips real easy.
Yep.
But to hear how one moment in time affected how you looked at life,
Mm-hmm.
And so many times we just think it's, oh, well, it's going to be easy. People will get over it. But sometimes that no has a devastation that kind of seeds into some things.
Yeah.
And when you talked about saying, I no longer want to be in this space,
Mm-hmm.
you made a decision to no longer want to be the one that's putting on the show for others.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that part. Talk to me about that decision, that day that that decision happened, because a lot of people just think, oh, well, I say I'm not going to be broke anymore. I'm going to make 10 grand in a day. It's going to be easy because that's what they're showing everybody on Instagram now. That's what they do. They're showing everybody that you can make 10 grand in a day. When I find that tree, I'll be the first one climbing. I'm knocking everybody off to get to it.
Well, that day, I don't know that it was a day or that it was a combination of days that just ended up culminating in an epiphany
Mm.
where I just, I'm tired of trying to be what you want me to be,
Ooh.
trying to prove to you that I'm worthy when I know that I'm already worthy. And I went through that in my last relationship. And I think a lot of us have to come to understand that there are certain people that no matter what you do,
Mhm.
no matter how hard you try, they're not going to accept you because accepting you would, it's like they're losing.
Ooh.
And that's because they're not happy with themselves. And so, because they're not happy with themselves, they're going to blame you for them not being happy, period. And the greatest thing that I had to understand over the course of time was happiness is not something somebody makes you like. You know, you meet that person and you're like, "Oh, you make me so happy." That's not true. They
Mm.
can add to your happiness, they can enhance your happiness, but they cannot make you happy. Happiness has to come from inside. And no matter how hard you try, you can't make a miserable person happy.
So I'm going to go there for a second because as you're telling this story, I feel like we've gotten pieces of it, right? And you're talking about this last relationship.
Mhm.
And I kind of want to, I'm going to be a little nosy. So those who know me, they know how I do. I like to be nosy. So let's be a little nosy about this because you're saying happiness is not something that a person gives you or that become, it's an inside job. One of my favorite sayings, happiness is an inside job and only you hold the key, as I love to say.
Right.
The other part of it is in relationships, because so many times we expect it to be happiness to be an external when it's really the internal.
Right.
And I love how you talked about the relationship. So many of us expect this person to come and be the magic one.
Hmm.
Like when they show up, fairy dust is just going to fall and it's going to be beautiful.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Talk to me about that relationship, the beginning. Let's go all the way back, as Bill Bellamy said, take me back to the beginning when it was beautiful and sweet.
It's always beautiful and sweet in the beginning, right?
Uh-oh.
You know, I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I love Star Trek, and I learned this thing
Mhm.
from watching Spock. Spock had finished fighting this dude for this girl, and he ended up losing her to this guy. And he walks up to the guy and he says, "Congratulations," basically. But then he said, "You may find that having is not so sweet as wanting."
Ooh.
So yeah, yeah,
Mm.
we see stuff, we see people, and we it's so sweet to want them. Oh God, I
Mm.
want you. I gotta have you. Gotta have you. I need you. But then once you get it, you realize, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So
Woo.
having is not so sweet as wanting. Now, let me qualify that. You
Okay.
talk about my last relationship. Um, I was repeating a cycle in a bunch of different relationships. It wasn't just this one.
Okay. Talk to me.
So I found out through therapy that I was looking for validation in every woman that I came across.
Wow.
So that meant that I was trying to be something to gain their approval so that I could feel better about myself
Mm.
rather than allowing me to be me and finding that person who would just accept me for who I am. So that was my mistake. That was my error. And when we both found each other, we were both damaged because we had both come out of relationships where the other person cheated on us and everything. And I don't think we had enough time to heal. So we kind of like fell into each other's arms and looking for the savior in the other person. Oh, you saved me. You complete me. I need you. Blah, 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 blah. And what that does is it causes you to close your eyes to a bunch of stuff that you see, but you really don't want to see. And all of the signals are there that this is not the situation you should be getting yourself into. But because you need that rescue so much,
Mm.
you ignore it, the warning signs. And you think to yourself, and this is something that guys do, and I'm not trying to talk bad about women. Guys do this, and I'm gonna tell you what women do on the other side. Guys
Okay.
do this when they're engaged to a woman and that woman's manifesting crazy. The
Okay.
guy says to himself, "It's just the wedding. It's the plan. She's all stressed out right now. Once we get married, this is all gonna settle down. It's gonna be better." Nope.
Wow.
How they show up is gonna be how they're gonna be. And then on the other side, women, they're looking for a build a man project because they feel like, well, he just needs work. He just needs the right woman to make him into the man that he needs to be. Now, while I do believe that God created man first and then he created Eve and he said it's not good for the man to continue by himself,
Mm-hmm.
he needs a helper. And that is what a woman serves in a man's life. She's a helper, she's a partner, she completes him in that way. Um, she can't make him into something that he's not inclined to be. So if you
Mm.
find a man and he's not already doing the basic things that you need him to do, don't fool yourself into saying you can take on a project because projects always fail.
Well, I'm going to jump in here because you hit exactly something that is very interesting. You talked about when you got to the place of getting married and getting prepared to get married, and when you saw these things, you kind of closed your eyes and said, "She's just stressed. This is just happening."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so accepted society wise because we all do that, right? Everybody goes, "Oh my God, they're just stressed. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, it's just this moment. They're
Mm-hmm.
just drinking a little bit. That's not their usual them, right?" So
Mm-hmm.
we excuse it. But
Mm-hmm.
then the other part of it is saying it will change later.
Yeah.
What, as I love to tell people, what you date and
Mhm.
what you make is
Yeah.
what you have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The other part of that that I love that you brought out was the it's going to get better. I need a project.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this all the time. I tell people the only project I want is a HUD house because I know my investment will be strong with the end. I don't want, I don't do no HUD booze. I'm not doing no build the bears. And
Uh-huh.
don't get me wrong, I'm all for that because there are some men and women who
Mhm.
you meet them and your goal is to make them better in
Mhm.
the process.
Yeah.
That's the part of being in a good
Yes.
relationship. You make
Yeah.
each other better,
Better.
but you don't go in with a hard hat and a
Mhm.
construction site sign ready. You just have to know some stuff
Exactly.
is a no.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
And part of that, when you said it, the first thing came to my mind was expectations.
Mm-hmm.
What were the expectations for you walking into that relationship? Did you have any?
The only expectation was loyalty.
Really?
Yeah, that was loyalty and love.
Loyalty and love.
Loyalty, love, and respect. Those three things. Loyalty,
Okay.
love,
Loyalty.
and respect. I do believe that God created women to need love and
Hmm.
he created men to need respect. So if you as a man look within yourself and see that you cannot love this woman the way she needs to be loved, have the
Mm.
integrity to walk away. And if you, as a woman, look at a man honestly and look within yourself and say, I am not the type to respect this man and let him lead, then do your both of you a favor and walk away. Because a man has to feel that he serves a purpose in a woman's life.
Mm.
He,
Okay, wait.
he can't
You
just
ooh.
can't be there to hit it. And yeah, that's a sex partner. A
Mm.
relationship is where you serve a purpose in that woman's life. And if a man gets to a point where he feels he's not contributing a purpose in a woman's life, then it's like, well, what am I here for?
So I'm gonna go back because as we've been talking about this, I'm hearing you say there were expectations of love, loyalty, and respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that we're in a place, not just with men, but with women as well. Loyalty is faulty.
Yep.
Um, some of us is kind of the thing of, you know what, I'm gonna jump on this wagon because I know it's gonna take me a little further than this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or really understanding what love looks like, because I feel like we're in such a space now that nobody really knows what love, real love, looks like. We
Right.
know what lust looks like, and we love how lust feels. Don't get me wrong,
Yes.
but I don't think we really understand what pure love looks like. I
Mm-hmm.
think people are so big on the idea of
Mm-hmm.
love. Because when we hear back in the day, the grandmas and the grandpas and the moo grandma was getting it in the moo. Now you ain't never see her at Victoria. But
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed is there was a different level with them. With
Mm-hmm.
grandma, it was I'm a helper to see him move forward, but I didn't forget my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we think grandma just sacrificed everything, left her dream behind just to support him. That's not in all cases.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did the expectations of marriage change? Interestingly enough, when you said you just wanted love, loyalty, and respect, I didn't hear you do the usual rundown that most men do when they say she should clean, she should cook, she should. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear the task part.
Yeah. No. Funny thing was when I met her, she was like, I don't really do the cooking thing that much. But to her credit, she started to love it, and she
Okay.
started to really get into cooking and doing stuff like that. I'm not now. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned cleaning. I don't need you to do all the cleaning in the house because
Okay.
that's both of our jobs.
Ooh, very good.
But I do need you to be a clean person.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
if you don't have your hygiene together, then that's not going to work. So I'm not coming into a relationship looking for a maid. That's not
Mm,
what this is about. We both go out and work. We
okay.
both do this and that. And even if I'm in a situation where like I'm like, women say holding it down, like I'm paying everything, you're home
Mhm.
during the day doing whatever you want to do, eating bonbons, watching TV, whatever, going out with your girlfriends, what, I still would feel guilty at the end of the day. Like I've never in any situation come home at the end of the day and said, why didn't you make me dinner? Like what's for dinner?
Mm,
You might be hopeful that she's got something prepared for you when you come home, but if not, you better figure it out yourself. The last thing
mm,
you say to a woman is, why didn't you make me dinner? No, that's the same as a woman saying to a man, why didn't you make X amount of money?
wait. Ooh,
Now,
wait.
now you hitting somebody in a place that you're it's hurtful. It's because now you're questioning their value,
Mm,
because those are the when you talk about a traditional relationship, yeah, the woman's supposed to take care of the house and the
mm-hmm.
man's supposed to take care of bringing the bacon home. When you question each other in that area, now you're hitting them in their soul. And some women know how to do that with vigor.
Uh-oh.
And slice and dice a man, take away his what's the term? Oh,
Mm.
emasculate a man. And you don't want, ladies, you don't want to do that to your man. Don't do that to your man. Because when you emasculate a man and then you look at him and say, why are you not this? That's why he's not this. Because you have told him you're not this, you're not capable of doing this, you're a loser, and I have no expectations of you being better. That's not the role that Eve played in Adam's life. At least that's not the role she was created to play. She was
So I'm
created
gonna
to be
pause for a second because I wait, hold on. You didn't gave me something good, but I gotta pay some bills. So hold on one second. Let me come over here. Let me do this commercial break. We got
okay.
to come back because I definitely want to talk about the role that you perceive we were created to play, and then the role of today's woman.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a pause for the cause. All right, y'all, listen. So, as y'all can see, we're having an amazing discussion about the roles and relationships and what's going on. And if you're saying, Patrice, listen, I need to come in, let's have a good conversation. Check me out at the 3S movement. Let's go over there. Let's get you an appointment set up so we can talk about what's going on in your life. Is that the right move for you? Let's talk about it. How do you know? Today's conversation is an amazing conversation that is sponsored by the 3S movement in reference to what do you do before you get married, the expectations you have walking in that marriage, and if anything should happen, how do you handle the end of that marriage? Well, we're going to jump back in for some good conversation. Don't forget to go head over to the 3S movement and set up your appointment in time. Okay, now you know you just done blew my whole tap with this. I'm telling you, if you have to just roll off, it would. Because you have not told me, and we've discussed that, listen, we are not out here just picking on anybody because they look good and they can hang a suit or they got these heels, the heels look good and you know, when they walk, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying that the role that women were created for
Mm-hmm.
has been twisted.
Yeah.
Because we know that we're created to be helpers, but
Mhm.
what does that look like from a male perspective?
It depends on the man. It
Mm,
really it no, it depends on the man. Some men just want you to look pretty and shut up, right?
mm,
And throw it down in the bedroom on demand. That's some men. The majority of men
okay.
really are good men. They mean well, but you got to understand that once Adam and Eve sinned, we all became imperfect, so we all make mistakes. And from day to day, that's why we pray for forgiveness. That's why Jesus gave his life on our behalf, because we need forgiveness. But in turn, we're required to forgive others. So, you know,
Mm,
as they say in the church, grace. You give grace,
okay.
because we all make mistakes. But as far as our roles are concerned, men were created to lead, women were created to help. Now, some women find that demeaning, but a hammer isn't demeaned for banging a nail, and a screwdriver isn't demeaned for screwing in a screw. That's what they were designed for. So when they're used for their purpose, they are valuable. Um,
Mm,
if my wife is supporting me, respecting me, um, helping to raise my children, giving me good advice
okay.
on how to be a better man, then that's all I can expect from her.
So you said something that kind of hit me a little bit because I can hear the audience in my mind going, wait a minute. He wants his wife to be these things.
Yeah,
What is he going to do on the other side of
I-
this?
I'll tell you.
Okay, well, please share.
Okay, my job is to create an environment where you blossom.
Oh, come on. Wait a minute. Say that again. Come on now.
My job is to create an environment where you blossom. Women are flowers. we have to till the garden, we have to fertilize it, we have to make sure that she has peace and that she has all the things she needs to blossom as a woman. And when you blossom, I'm happy.
Okay,
So
listen,
it's
that's a whole preach right there. You done preached the
no,
whole sermon.
they are not kidding when they say when mama's happy, everybody's happy. When mama's not happy, everybody's miserable. So it's our job to lead in such a way that you feel safe, you feel loved, you feel honored, and you feel that you have our exclusivity. Period. So yeah, and to provide. Now, here's where the money piece comes in, and all kinds of things get screwed up because people have different views.
Okay.
The traditional view was that, a man is to provide, but we've seen this go back in time to our grandparents and our great grandparents. The woman still had to work, right?
Mhm.
To bring money into the house. What is providing meat on the part of a man? I believe, and I don't think I'm alone, that providing means not only contributing financially to the household, but also providing, like I said, that safe, secure environment, providing that leadership role, providing that support, providing spiritual leadership. Do we pray together? Does that man take your hand and lead you in prayer? Does he um, does he make you feel warm and fuzzy? And does he make you giggle? Does he make you feel that you are the most important thing on this planet? He would fight for you, he would live for you, and he will die for you if necessary. That's how a man provides. Now,
I want
women
to add
have
something.
different expectations as
Mm-hmm.
to what the financial part of. Every woman can agree that they want all that other stuff that I just mentioned. But
Right.
where the problem has started lately
Mm-hmm.
is well, what does providing really mean? And when people say provide, it almost always means the money.
Can I add something before you get into the providing with the money part?
Sure.
Because you spoke about women needing to feel safe.
Hmm.
And I want to bring this piece out because I hear mostly men say this all the time. I want to make sure she's safe. She's safe.
Hmm.
Safe is not just being physically safe.
Yeah.
Safe is where I can be emotionally safe with
Emotionally,
you.
yes.
That if I'm having a moment,
Hmm.
that you're not going to get over it.
Right.
The other piece of this is I should be able to be so safe that you, if I'm having what I call a bunny moment, that you're not going, what did I marry? You go, oh my God. I should be able to have
Uh-huh.
all of those moments and you still be my person and I feel connected to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that piece in. And
Yeah.
then when you talked about the providing, I think for so many people, we forget providing looks so different depending on how you grew up, where you grew
Right.
up,
Right.
and what that looked like. Because growing up, like you said, most of our grandparents, women always worked.
Hmm.
That was a part of that. If they did not work,
Hmm.
there was an agreement, I should say,
Hmm.
with that household of how this is going to run.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So please jump into the financial part because as you're talking about this, we kind of talked about the marriage in a roundabout way. We talked about the roles, and I think the roles have truly been changed quite
Yeah.
a bit because I hear a lot of younger people saying they want a traditional man, a traditional woman,
Uh,
like their grandmother and all of that.
yeah.
And usually I'm the person that says, well, I'm glad you want your grandma, but she's not, it's not too many of them back out here these
Mhm.
days. And it's for a different reason,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
I also feel that roles have changed so tremendously at this point that we got to be open to say that may have been the work for them back then, but let me work to what's going to help me now.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel at this point you have many people who have, whether you're single or married, most people I know have to have two jobs
Yeah.
or at least a job and a good side hustle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lucrative side hustle.
Right.
So, what does that look like in that marriage financially when you're talking about providing?
So again, that goes back to, you made a very good point when you said it depends on how that girl was raised. Like when she was raised
Hmm.
in a household, she's looking at her daddy. And that's
Oh,
why fathers are so important to girls.
good
It,
job.
it's
Mhm.
you teach your daughter how she should be treated by another man. So if she's growing up in a house and she sees daddy going out to work, and whenever she needs something, I'm not saying spoiled, but
Mhm.
generally what she needs, daddy makes sure that it's provided in the household materially, right?
Okay.
She's going to expect that in return from another man. Now, this is not
Mhm.
always the case. Like you said, things have kind of been twisted and turned on their head in this new age of, um, don't take me to Cheesecake Factory. I want to go to Ruth's Chris on our first date. And if you cannot provide that for me, then you are not the man for me. In my humble opinion,
Okay.
that is what's wrong when it's present. No, it's not him, sister. It's you. You are the problem. Your values are all backwards.
Okay. So
I have,
wait, can I jump in right there because that is a part of that list of oh, we don't go here and there. Me personally, I love Cheesecake Factory. They are always the place for me.
okay,
So if a young man want to take me to Cheesecake Factory, I will gladly go. Thank you.
okay.
My thing is, I think we've gotten to the habit, and I will say this. I've heard some fathers say, I want my daughter's standard to be so high, no other man can obtain them. So she will not pick just no
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. You know what? Uh, I'm a step out on a limb here and say this.
Hmm.
I think when fathers say that, what they're really saying is, I don't want her to ever find a man that's me. And if she never finds a man that's me, then she'll never find another man and she'll always be daddy's little girl.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
selfish.
It's selfish. Yeah, it is selfish.
Wow.
It is selfish. So, fathers, treat your daughters to be queens and expect the princess treatment, but also be realistic, because you didn't always do everything perfectly. You
Mm.
know you didn't. You know who you were as a young man, and that's why the saying is true. A father's worst nightmare is that his daughter will meet a guy just like him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
so your role is to prepare her to make wise decisions, to know her value, and she knows her value by the way you treat her and the way you treat her mother. So she sees that and she's going to want to model that. Now along comes the social media generation. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
the best lifestyle and this, that, and the other thing. Nobody's getting on social media with crust in the corner of their eyes. No. with,
Yeah. No.
no woman's putting her legs up on Instagram on the beach with hair all over it. Everybody's, putting forth their best face on social media.
I agree.
And we have become such a, I want it now. I don't want to wait. And I want what I want. Like, I see it, I want it, I like it, I got it. I happen to like that song, but the message is just a symptom of what's really happening in our society today, where if somebody feels like, if I see it and I want it, then I'm automatically entitled to it. Why? Why are you
Mm.
entitled to it?
That's good.
Why? What did you do to earn it? What have you done for others? What have you poured into other people's banks that now the universe says you have given so much, now you deserve in return?
Ooh.
So a lot of these girls, and I'm just gonna call them girls because I don't care how old you are. If you're that shallow, you're a girl where you just want to know, what can this man buy for you? And then, basically a man then becomes a checkbook with a, I don't know whether I can use the word, so I'll just say male member. That's all I'll say. He's a
Okay.
checkbook. to buy you the stuff that you want and then to pleasure you when you want that to happen. Other than that, he serves no useful function in your life. And that's when the marriage stops being a partnership and it becomes a what can I extract from you relationship. And
Well,
that's
I'll
how
go.
it starts
I'll
to
go
go.
further. I think it goes from being a partnership to a sponsorship.
True. Yes. Yes. But who's sponsoring who at that point?
Exactly, and that's why I said sponsorship,
Right.
because one person's getting the look of it looks fancy, it looks good,
Hmm.
but the other person is getting the financial kickback of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. So what goes wrong is we don't have the hard talk before the marriage.
Mm. Okay, go ahead. Let's
That
talk about
will,
it because this is
that
what.
yeah, that
Yes,
will
I like your
uncover
point.
it will uncover all of the stuff that needs to happen. Now, I did a video I posted a while back, the actual literal stages that you need to bring up certain things as you're getting to know someone. I'm not going to
Mm,
go into that in detail, but I will say this. There's a time and a place in each relationship where you need to know what that other person's situation financially is, what their view is currently, and what their goals are for the future.
mm,
So that looks like different things, but some of the things that need to be discussed are where are we going to live?
that's important.
Um, how are we going to live? Are we going to be buying a new car every year because that suits you? Or are we going to be living in the most expensive house in the neighborhood because that's what's important to one person when it's not important to the other person? How much do you make? You know how many people, women don't even know how much their husband make? It's crazy. It's crazy. What's your
Wow.
credit score, right?
Mm,
If it's good, great. If it's bad, that might be a disbarring thing. There might be reasons why it's bad. Tell me why it's bad. And what do you plan on doing about it from this point forward?
okay.
What things are important to you? Do we vacation X amount of times a year? Or would you rather take your money and pour it into investments because retiring early is important to you?
Mm,
See, a lot of people get married and they don't have these discussions because they assume because we laugh and
mm,
giggle and we have a good time together that we're on the same page. No,
mm,
honey, we are not on the same page unless
mm,
we have literally gone down the list of things that makes the page and we've checked off the boxes to say that we agree with them. And in the areas where we don't agree, is that something you can honestly accept or is that a deal breaker where you now have to have the courage and the selflessness to walk away from that person and say, I'm not good for you or you're not good for me. We're not good for each other because of this major deal breaker. Those are the deal breakers. So
mm.
you have to know what your deal breakers are. And when those come up, you have to have the courage to accept them and walk away.
So I love how you talked about this because you gave some excellent tips and some things that people really need to talk about,
Mhm.
especially because people are getting married a lot younger. I'm noticing that there are some younger generations that are like 18, 19, let's do this. Now,
Okay.
that's not in all, because I
Mhm.
have some other people that will date each other
Mhm.
and we'll be like, well, we've been together 35 years now. I guess we might as well go ahead and get married. The babies are all grown. We got that going.
Right.
But with this, I love how you broke down the things we should be looking for and what
Mhm.
are some of those deal breakers.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that people need to look into when you talk about having a blended family? Because you do have a segment of people who are getting married later,
Mhm.
or they tried the first time and maybe that was the high school
Yeah.
sweetheart
Yeah.
and it didn't work out.
Mhm.
And now we're talking about a different financial picture,
Right.
especially if you're going through
Yeah.
divorce.
Yeah.
What does that look like when you're talking about moving into a blended family or
Definitely.
life after divorce?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Gen Xers for sure need to be aware of this, and early Gen Yers need to be aware of this. More than likely, you're going to meet somebody who has a child already. They've got one. Either that child has grown up and left the nest, either that child still has grown up and is still in the nest,
Mm.
or they're still coming up in the nest. There are financial considerations that need to be considered there, and these are things that I didn't talk about in detail with her when we were dating each other. It was like la 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 la, la, we'll figure it out. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
However, the unique situations that we'll find in blended situations is you're coming into this maybe with property, right?
Mm. Okay.
Women will oftentimes be getting child support from the baby daddy, right?
Okay.
How is that money going to be used in the relationship? The guy might be thinking to himself, well, the child support's gonna go into the household pot and it's gonna be used for everything. Whereas the woman might be sitting there and saying, that's not your money, that's the kid's money, and it's only going to be used towards them. So she might be saying, I'm going to use this money just to buy their clothes and to put away for their education, but you, sir, must take care of everything else. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different views about out there about how the child support is going to be used in the household, and that's a critical discussion to have, because that will cause arguments and disagreements and oh, I thought moments that turn into bitter resentment afterward. How do I know? Because I was in that situation.
I also think, as you just said, with the financial piece, I think looking at discipline
Mm-hmm.
in a blended household makes a difference.
Right.
Because what type of parenting style do you have? A
Oh
lot
my
of people,
God. Oh God.
we have I don't, we have a lot of gentle parents these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Everybody's gentle. They don't scream.
Yeah.
They
No.
speak very, very calm.
Right.
I wish for that. I didn't grow up in a house like that. Oh, it was. Let me tell you about yourself. And if I talk too loud, you might count them hands.
Patrice.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm just saying.
you you making me percolate right now.
I'm just saying. I grew up. I
Yeah.
didn't. I didn't have gentle. I had. You keep playing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put these hands up there.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on, who you talking to?
Uh-huh.
So, kind of having those discussions about discipline, but also the piece, like you said, definitely the financial and what
Mm-hmm.
happens in the area of child support. Also, and I think this is one, and I think this speaks to you for specifically, when we talk about the financial piece, wills, trust,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and having those conversations about getting, as I like to call it, old news off your new paperwork,
Right. Yeah.
because sometimes we get so excited. I'm so in love. And like you just said, we assume
Yeah.
these things are going to be done.
Yep.
And I know for me, I've seen people have been together for forever. I never even knew there was a first wife or
Yeah.
this person had a first wife because all I knew was this was my aunt for forever. And
Mm.
as soon as they put you down on the ground, here come
Yeah.
your ex from forever ago going,
Yeah.
hey, I
Yeah.
own the house.
Yeah.
How important is that to have those conversations?
That is so important. You gotta have these conversations. That's another thing, to have a conversation with that person about, is there someone in your past who has a financial interest in you currently?
Oh, that's good.
Because there might have been a relationship in the past where there was an agreement in the divorce decree that she's entitled to this when you die, and that might be half your pension. And
Ooh.
so you go and you marry this woman, and then you die, and she's expecting your pension, and here comes wife number one out of the shadows. Oh no, baby, half of that is mine. And so now that flips your entire financial life on its head, because you were thinking, okay, I can handle my bills with this, and now you find out now you only have half. How's a woman supposed to deal with that? Shame on that man for not revealing that to her, first of all, but shame on you too for not showing enough of an interest in that area to ask the hard questions. Now, if he lies to you, that's a different story. But did you ask? You have to accept responsibility for asking. um Another thing that you want to, so yeah, definitely that is important. Is there someone in the past who has a financial interest in your death, and what happens when you die? What are they entitled to? All of that stuff needs to be gotten out on the table. Now, before you die, here's another thing that you need to talk about, which people just generally don't talk about, and that is who's going to pay the bills. And when I say pay the
Hmm.
bills, I mean two things. Who's going to physically pay the bills? Like, who's going to take the lead? Like, the light bill's due on this day, I'm going to pay it on this day. The mortgage is due on this day, I'm going to pay it on this day. Who's going to be responsible for processing the payment of the bills? The next thing, though, is how much is that person's responsibility toward each of these things? Some women truly think that his money is my money and my money is my money. So he takes care of everything in the house and I do whatever I want with my money. Yes, that view exists out there.
Okay, I'm a little shocked, and I know for those who
Really?
see this,
Really?
I am shocked because here's what I know: most people have gotten into this space where they have the so-called gap rule union, where it's 50-50. We
I,
split everything like we're roommates, and especially in this day and age, I'm hearing that a lot more. Where, hey, I'm paying 50% of this or 50% of that. Very rarely do I hear he covers 100% of everything, or
yeah,
he's telling me to keep mine.
that's it's out there. But let's
Okay.
talk about the 50-50 people.
Okay.
Let's say two people get married. One
All
makes
right.
this is just for the sake of having round numbers.
Okay.
One makes $100,000 a year and the other one makes $50,000 a year. Is it fair to do 50-50 on all of the expenses in the house? I put
No.
that question to you. That's a rhetorical question because it depends on what they're both comfortable with. You need to have that discussion. What is
Mm.
going to be the division of expenses in the house? So
Mm.
some people might say, and I've seen this on other podcasts and things like that, one person is making three times what the other person makes, but they're still like, you need to come with your 50%. We're splitting this. Yes, that is a real expectation. Or
Ooh.
is it fairer to say, I make twice as much as you, so I should pay double what you pay toward the bill? So in the illustration that I gave you, where one
Mhm.
person makes 100,000 and the other person makes 50, you've got three-thirds to make a whole there. There's 50 on this one person, but there's two 50s over here on this other person. So one, if you're doing it proportionately, the person who makes 50% should pay a third of all the bills in the house. But the other person who makes twice as much as that person should pay two-thirds of that. That's
Wow.
another possibility of how you proportionately divide things up in the house. But then there's some other men out there who's like, look, I want to be Big Willie and I pay everything. And whatever you do with your money, that's your business. I will not feel comfortable as a man unless I'm holding it down 100%. There's guys
Okay.
out there who feel that way.
Oh
This,
no, I agree. They are there. They're very few and far.
yeah,
They run the little on the other side of the table now. They
yeah,
over there.
yes, yeah,
We
uh-huh.
like that Willie Earl have that thought process, but he may not
Yeah,
have that to do for 2025. Now,
right,
might have worked in 1975, but
yeah,
not 2025. So I'm happy that Willie Earl has that thought
yeah, right.
process. But
Willie Earl.
the other part of that is you have women
Mhm.
who are, I love to call us big Willonas. Our big Willonas who we
Uh-huh.
doing it on our own. We got it.
Yeah.
How does that work when she's in the head of the household? Do we still hold that same thought process?
So
It's okay. Breathe. I see it in your face. It's okay.
let let me let me say this based on my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a rare man and a rare woman to
Mm.
make a marriage work when the woman makes more than the man. Now, if you can put all of that out in the open and discuss everything honestly, like Who's going to take the lead with this? Who's going to pay this? How much is it going to be? Um, if you feel you've discussed that in full and you can make it work and you're both happy with that situation, then God bless. Go forth and be happy. I will tell you, it it breaks something in the natural order of things when the woman makes more than the man. So that's why I say it takes discussion and agreement in order to make that situation work. Um, because as you
Mm-hmm.
said, you have the big Wallonas out there, and I'm gonna say this, and y'all women out there can hate on me all you want, but truth is truth, and I'm not gonna be afraid to speak it. Women were not designed to be the head of the household. It emasculates the man. It makes him feel less than, and it kind of it breaks the natural order of things. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong for a woman to make more than the man. On the other side, I'm not saying that when the man makes more than the woman, he should be Big Willie and say, and I've seen this extreme, well, I'm the breadwinner, so I have the final say. Nobody gets to say that. Nobody gets to say that. Whether you're the man or the woman, aren't we supposed to be partners here? Aren't we supposed to have agreement on things? If I really want to buy a set of Callaway golf clubs and I am requiring part of the household finances to make that happen, how does she not get a say in that? Come on. And ladies,
Mm-hmm.
don't take household money and play funny with the books, so to speak, and go out and buy something that you know you've discussed and agreed you wouldn't buy, and you're going to go stuff it in the back of your closet, and then you're going to do the okey doke later on when your husband looks at you and he's like, is that new? Ah, that's not new. I had this before. You see, you don't pay attention to what I wear. Y'all will do that. You see, look at you laughing because you know it's true. You know it's true. You be like, I'm looking at the bottom of your shoes. They have not been scuffed. I'm looking at that bag. It looks too brand new. And me personally, I'm not that dude who doesn't pay attention to my woman. I am.
Okay, you are not.
Well,
But
I'm
I
not.
don't need you on
There's
this
a lot
platform
of
busting
there's a
somebody
lot of
else.
yeah, but see, women like to think dudes and TV has painted these sitcoms have painted fathers and husbands to be stupid. They really have. And we're not. You may think we're stupid, just like guys may think that when you're looking at that booty on the other side of the street, the woman standing next to you doesn't realize what you're looking at. Fellas, they always know what we're looking at, whether they're looking at us or not. They know. So don't play your spouse for a fool. Be honest, be upfront, don't play money games. Here's how I like to handle it. And I think that this is the best way of doing things based on my extensive experience. Yes, there should be a pot of money for the household,
Okay.
but I think each spouse should have an equal amount that they keep for themselves that they can spend on themselves how and whichever way they choose, as long as it's not an immoral thing. Like if y'all, unless y'all both weed heads, don't go out and spend the money on drugs or something like that you know the other mate considers to be an immoral thing. Don't do that. Don't go out and use your personal money to run up a credit card and get a payment, and then later on down the line your spouse finds out you got a $25,000 balance on a credit card. What? That
Okay, wait,
doesn't
I
just
need to ask a
affect
poll
you,
question.
that affects both of you at this point. I'm talking about, you want to buy something You're using, let's say for instance, each spouse has $200 a month, personal money that they get to spend however they want to. That doesn't mean you have to spend it every month. Maybe you put it into your personal account. I feel there should be three accounts in a household. There
Okay,
should
go
be a
ahead.
joint account for the household. There should
Hmm.
be hers and there should be his. Now, you can take your money out of your monthly allowance, and we're going to call it an allowance because that's what it is. You get to do what you want with it. The
Okay.
other spouse doesn't get to question it. If you want to go out and blow it on a Marc Jacobs bag, your husband might look at you and be like, I think that's kind of crazy. But that's your choice because you spent your money. Maybe you took your 200 and you saved it up for 5 months and now you have 1,000 and you want to
Hmm.
go out and buy that bag. That's your business. As long as you're not incurring debt to get it without the other partner's knowledge, that's your business. So that's my philosophy as far as that, because anything other than that is financial infidelity.
Okay, wait. I want to
Absolutely.
pause because I want you to
Absolutely.
break down financial infidelity once we do
Okay.
this next break.
Okay.
But I got to say, listen, this discussion with Mr. Forrest, honey, it is getting good. Okay, he done busted out somebody who's sneaking stuff in the back of their closet. Don't do it. Okay, y'all didn't hear that from me. He also has gotten here and talked about breaking down the different accounts you should have in the house. I need y'all to jump in the comments. Do you agree with Mr. Forrest? Because this was a new one for me. He said everybody should have a joint, and then there should be a his and a her account. So now, if you agree or if you disagree, jump in the comments and let me know how you feel about this one. This definitely has been a new one for me today on this financial part. We're jumping back in to talk about financial infidelity. Okay, now y'all know on the mental health side, we've been talking about infidelity on another show. Y'all catch that on the replay, okay? But today we're jumping in on financial infidelity. Let's get back into this episode with Mr. Forrest. So you left off talking about financial infidelity. Please explain that for those who don't know.
Financial infidelity is hiding anything financial from your spouse. That's it. The same as hiding a relationship with another person from your spouse is considered traditional infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
Then financial and fellas and women, that doesn't just mean that you both dropped your drawers and jumped into bed with each other. You can be emotionally
Mm-hmm.
unfaithful to your spouse because you're cultivating a work wife or a work husband, right? Let's stop that nonsense. Stop. Let's put. God did not create Adam and Eve and say you will become one flesh, but you're going to have a work wife when you go on the field, and you're going to have a work husband when you go to the market. No, that's not. We're husband and wife. There are no others in that space. So the same way you can be emotionally unfaithful to your spouse, you can be financially unfaithful to your spouse. Here's another way you can be financially unfaithful to your spouse. You get a raise and don't let them know.
Ooh, okay.
So you
Mm-hmm.
both agree that X amount of dollars is going into the pot. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. And I'm going to keep this and you're going to keep that. But you get a bonus
Mm-hmm.
and you don't tell your spouse about it. Or you get a raise and you don't tell your spouse about it. Or you change jobs. And the way things are set up right now, you can very well say, I want you to deposit X amount of dollars into this account every pay period, but the rest of it goes into this account. So your spouse doesn't is none the wiser because they see the money coming in.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you got an extra $25,000 a year coming in that they don't know about, and you're sucking that away. That's lying. It's not being honest. And if you have to be that way with someone in a relationship, then you
Mm-hmm.
got no business getting married to them. And if you have to be that way in all of your relationships, then you either need to be upfront about the person and say, "Look, I'm not going to always tell you about all the money I get. Are you comfortable with that?" I don't know many people who are,
Mm-mm.
but at least have the character to be honest about who you are up front. But don't play these games where you're hiding financial things from people. Some people got inheritances that they haven't told their spouse about. They got windfalls that they don't tell their spouse about. They incur debts and financial obligations that they don't tell their spouse about. They got insurance policies that they have not told their spouse about. How is it going to feel when you die and your wife is crying at the funeral, and then she comes to find out that you had a life insurance policy for this chick? That's
Whoa.
not a good way to go out. That's not a good way to go out. And women can do the same thing. Women can do the same thing. And that brings me back to the blended families type of thing.
That's what I was going to ask.
Some women have the expectation that when they die, and then some men have the expectation that when they die, their kids are going to get the house.
Mm.
Nope. That shouldn't be the way it is. When you die, that house passes to your spouse. Your children, it should be designated up front what your children are going to be provided at your death. But that house is not your children's, it's your spouse's. And if you want to play that game when you die, you talk about some fighting
Mm-hmm.
that will break out after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't care what you think is going to happen. In most states in this country, when you die, that house goes to your spouse. Now the kids can fight and cause pain and angst for the surviving spouse, but that only happens when you don't properly take care of your will and your trust before you die, which is why you need to have those things taken care of before you die, and have discussions about it up front with everyone. Look, kids, mama came to these are your stepbrothers and sisters over here. This is in my particular instance, she had 4 kids. 4.
Mm-hmm.
I had 1. He was grown, left the house. Her kids were still in the house. Um, and I know that there was some resentment about me and her feeling that I was somehow going to profit off of her death. Yeah, because I actually I said, I get the, because she wasn't being honest with me about something about her life insurance policy, and I said, I kind of get the feeling that you feel like you don't want me to profit off of your death, and she said, yeah. I was like, okay, nobody wants their mate to look for them to die so they can profit off of it, but
Exactly.
don't we get insurance to make sure that your survivor is cared for after your death? That's what this is about. And that's another discussion that you need to have so you're both on the same page about that. If you're the person who feels like, I don't want to leave you anything when you die, this is going to my kids, and you need to be upfront about that,
Wow.
because I don't personally think that's right. And if you feel that way, you're definitely not the person for me. If you don't trust that I am going to take care of your kids should you die, then why are you marrying me?
Okay, so now you brought up a good point because I think for so many people, they just see it as a one sided thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've all heard the horror stories of the little old widow woman who's been there. Her husband took care of all of her life. She never worked. Now
Mhm.
he's gone. Now she
Right.
is trying to figure out whether she's going to be a Walmart greeter or
Right.
whatever that looks like, or the neighborhood
Right.
daycare
Right.
surgeon.
Right.
How do we have those conversations? And I'm going to go back. The conversations is needed. You said that.
Hmm.
How often should we update these papers or these particular things? Because I've seen where there have been kids, the first 2 are taken care of, but we
Hmm.
had 2 more.
Right. Right.
How often do we update these things or at least have the conversation?
Have the conversation annually.
Every year.
Put on a calendar. We're going out to a restaurant. This is what we're going to talk about. have the conversation. You may not need to update everything. The conversation at the restaurant could be, everything's still the same. Nothing's changed financially for us. So this, I don't see any need to change anything. Are you in agreement? Agreement? Yeah, I agree. All right. You want the steak or the chicken? Whatever. And
Okay.
go about your business. Where there's children involved, especially in a blended marriage, that conversation needs to happen annually in the household. And as things change, they need to be updated as to, how things are going to be handled. You don't need to tell them exact numbers, so to speak, especially when you have minor children, because you don't need minor children running around blabbing about this, that, and the other thing, because they don't know how to keep their mouths shut. But they shouldn't understand that there's going to be a division of things when dad dies or mom dies, and you're going to be taken care of in this manner. And that's why trusts are so important, because a trust should be set up in such a way that a sum of money is put aside for this minor child until they attain the age of majority, whatever that is in your state, or whatever you agree as a parent, because we all as parents know all of our children are different,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Some mature faster than others. Maybe you might say, well, when you turn 18, this $100,000 is yours to do with as you please. For the other person, you might say, I think you need to wait till 21, or you need to wait till 25 to have access to this money. And that's where you need a trustee to take care of that.
Mm.
And then there might be a child who has a substance abuse problem. What would dropping $100,000 in their lap do to them? It probably all go up their nose or in their veins. Are you
Mm.
helping them at that point? No. So you might need to set up a trust that's going to administer that money to them in stages to take care of them, to make sure that they don't go out of their minds and kill themselves with it. So every family situation is unique. Every blended family is like a fingerprint. It's all different. What works for one won't work for another. And please, as a parent, when you come in, because I'm guilty of this, when
Mm.
you come into a blended situation, don't think that the way you raised your child is the way you raised their child. Because number
Mm.
one, what worked for your kid in your household was organic to you.
Okay.
Now you're coming in, you don't have the moral or the biological authority yet to say or do certain things for that. An addendum to that is, back your spouse up. It's hard
Hmm.
enough being a step parent is a hard job, and praise to those who agree to take that job on, because it is a thankless job. When everything goes bad, you get all the blame for it. When things go right, you get none of the credit for it.
Wow.
So if a man is willing to step up to a plate and be step parent to a woman's children, at least give him credit for that. That says something about that man. That being said, you need to back your spouse up when it comes to the children. Don't fight in front of your kids and demean that person in front of those kids, because kids smell are like sharks. They smell blood in the water, and they will leverage a situation. It's hard enough for a stepchild to have respect for a step parent, either because they don't know them, or they just don't. They've agreed in their heart, I don't care what you do, I don't want to like you. You
Oh, wow.
shouldn't be here. You ain't none of my father. You ain't
Yeah.
none of my mother. That's going to be it. This is the challenge that step parents face. So as the biological parent, it falls to you to cultivate respect for that spouse in
Mhm.
your children, not just cultivate it, but require it and demand it.
I love how you talked about this, and literally, I'm gonna go a little deeper because this is so good right now. Because I don't think a lot of people think about these key pieces, like when you talked about the blended family and the financial pieces and how that stuff should be set up. And
Mhm.
then I'm gonna circle back to something you said earlier. You talked about the mental health and money and marriage, the
Yeah.
three M's that a lot of people don't really talk about.
Mhm.
I'm a person who tells people talk about mental health before you get into marriage. Do
Yeah.
they believe in mental health? Do
Right.
they understand mental health? Is there a
Right.
family history of mental health? But
Yes, that
also,
part. That part.
yeah, because a lot of people don't. You know, we're in our love bubbles and it's feeling
Yeah.
good, it's happy
Yeah.
until something happens and it's outside of what you thought
Yeah.
it would be.
Yes.
But there is a whole mental health connection with money.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about it at the beginning, having those traumas and things of certain things that we don't realize at the time
Yeah.
is a trauma to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, I deserve this, you
Right.
know,
Right.
or, this is what it's going to be. Or as we talked about before, kind of being a big Willie or a big Willona where you're spending to impress people who are not even thinking about you.
Right.
And then putting a new spin on it and saying, okay, now let's go get married.
Mm-hmm.
Because you talked about this earlier when you
Yeah.
said, are we buying a new car every year?
Right.
And for some people, that's a part of their image. I
Yes.
want to have that new car.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And when you talk about that in marriage, when does that come up? Because I don't think that's the after I do conversation. I think
No.
that needs to be way before.
Everything I am speaking about here is a before the put the ring on it phase.
Okay.
All of it. All of it. Don't go put a ring on a woman's finger, dude, and not know the answers to all these questions ahead of time. Um, I'm not that dude that will pop the question without you having said in some shape, form, or fashion, you want to be my wife. I'm not
Oh,
that.
okay.
It's we've been in this relationship. We've both talked about what life is going to be as marriage. What do we want? What do we don't want? So there's you should already have come to the conclusion and expressed, I want to be married to you. You want to be married to me.
Okay.
So now at that point is when you start having these hard discussions, the will and the trust, the how are we going to divide the money in the marriage and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Once all of that is cleared up, guys, think of some incredible way to surprise your wife to be, with that proposal. She should be expecting the proposal. In fact, a lot of women will be already sending signals to you about what kind of ring she wants. So you know what she wants. You've already cruised by Zales in the mall, popped in there, and she said, "Ooh, I like that. I don't like the princess cut. I like the round cut." Hint, hint. So you know what she wants, guys.
And I'm
Don't
gonna I'm gonna jump even in that piece. What is a reasonable amount to spend on a ring? Because people now have champagne wishes and caviar dreams,
yeah.
and we want a Kardashian ring. But
Yeah.
I'm living in like I'm
Yeah.
outside living in something that don't quite match a
Yeah,
Kardashian
yeah.
lifestyle.
Everybody wants to be living the lifestyles of the rich and famous when
Exactly.
they're really in the lifestyles of the poor and the relatively unknown.
Exactly.
So,
So
so
what does that look like?
what does that
Like,
look like? That looks like whatever you both agree to. That's
okay.
what it looks like. Every woman has her requirement for what she wants that ring to be. There are some women out there who are so fiscally responsible that they will be like, give me a CZ. I don't care. I want you, and then I want this marriage to grow financially. I think it's more important that we put that money toward a down payment on a home than for it to be a rock on my finger. I'm not praising that woman. I'm just saying that's who she might be, your wife to be. Now, there might be the other woman who's like, yeah, I really want a nice ring because it makes her feel good. And that's nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm happy to accommodate you in that area up to a point. I am not drinking the Zales and the De Beers Kool-Aid, because
With
I
the,
could tell
the
you the
six
whole
months.
story of De Beers and how they control the diamond market and created this whole rules around buying diamonds. Gentlemen, you do not need to pay X amount of months of your salary for a ring to be valid. No. You can
Hmm.
go and get a decent ring. I feel personally that the thing that you need to think of when it comes to a ring is its cut and its clarity.
Okay.
Size matters. Yeah,
It does.
no, don't go putting a little chip on a girl's finger, dudes. Don't do that. Get a nice size ring. Now, a nice size ring is a different thing to different people, but don't put something on her finger where her girlfriends are like, "Ooh, girl,
Whew.
woo, that's a nice ring," and they're like to their
Exactly.
girlfriends, right? Don't embarrass her. But you both should be in agreement on what that ring should look like and how much it should cost.
I
So,
love that you mentioned that because for so many of us, we've grown up hearing the 6 months. That's why I asked
yeah,
you.
no.
I've grown up hearing 6 months to a year. You should have about a year of your salary saved, or
So, yeah,
six
yeah.
months, or a tenth of that. And I'm
Okay.
like,
So
who,
let's
who are
yeah,
you marrying for this kind
right,
of money?
right. Let's think about that. If a woman that I express an interest in said to me that the ring that she wants should be 6 months of my salary, I already know she's not the one for me. Because
Mm,
you just told me right there everything I need to know about you. You're not practical, you're very materialistic, and we're going to fight all the time about money. So why would I invite that into my life? Why would
mm.
I invest in that? So the average salary in this country being $60,000 a year. So now you're saying 5 times 6 is what you require me to spend on a ring. You require, you
Mm.
demand I must spend. So, brothers, it's not just 6 months of your salary because do we get to take home 100% of what we make?
No,
Nope.
we do not.
You got to pay taxes to the man, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, at the end of the day, you're basically saving up a year's salary to put a ring on her finger that she might just walk away with when she decides she's tired of you.
So I'm going to go back for a second because we've been talking about this and we've talked about how do you come to the other side of being in a marriage that didn't work out, the divorce, and we've kind of we've ping ponged on a lot of different subjects.
Mm,
And it was one subject that I wanted to get to before we talked about like your turnaround. And you mentioned this to me, and you said a man's divorce is different than a woman's divorce. How is that? Because when you said that, I just looked and I was kind of like, come again?
yeah.
But how is a man's divorce different than a woman's divorce?
I can tell you from my side, when we had that conversation, if you recall, for the vast majority of my life, I have been husband.
Mm,
So when this marriage broke up, I literally had to go into therapy. And one day my therapist asked me, "So who is Forrest?"
wow.
And I said, I never really thought about that. Who is Forrest? And I said, you know what? I don't think I know how to answer that question because all my life I've been husband
Mm,
and now I'm not. So who am I? And that goes back to the whole thing about men need to feel needed.
okay.
Um, Women, don't be out there talking about, I don't need you.
Mm,
Because then why are you getting married? We get married because we need that person to fulfill something in your life. If and if you are the kind of person who, for matters of pride or whatever,
mhm.
emotional protection, cannot bring yourself to say, I need you in my life to fill this particular function, don't marry. Don't. Because all throughout your marriage, especially if you're an alpha female, you're going to be telegraphing to that man, I don't need you. And so that starts messing with our wiring because we're like, but I need to, that does not compute because I need to fulfill a function. But you're telling me that you don't need me. So in other words, I'm useless.
Mm.
And then Keisha down at work is always letting you know, oh, you always so helpful. I need you. I
Mm.
can't. I don't know what we would do without you. And
Ah,
so then y'all go out to lunch, and Keisha starts letting you know how much she needs you and what she needs you for.
okay.
And then you go home to your wife and she's like, I don't need you. And she may not be saying that in those words. Some women do. And y'all know who you are. I don't need you. Don't you think it's better for me to just want you to be here? Nah, I want to be needed.
Oh.
I want to be wanted and I want to be needed. I fell for that okey doke, that Kool Aid. Don't you think it's better for me to want you than to need you? Yeah, I don't want you to need me to fix you or take care of you, but I
Mm,
do want you to need me to fulfill a specific part of your life. And that could be to be your partner, to be your friend, to be your confidant, to whatever.
mm,
But men need to be needed. So I say all that to say that yes, divorce is different for a man because when a man gets divorced, he's like, she doesn't need me. That's a blow to our psyche. What do you mean you don't need me? That takes us down a peg, our masculinity, because God created us to be needed by that woman. And when that function is taken away, now we're like wandering around in the wilderness, like, well, what do I do now?
mm.
I literally had to go into therapy to work that out. And that's when it was uncovered to me that, like you're bouncing from one relationship to another, looking for validation from a woman. And so then with that epiphany, now I can approach relationships differently.
So I'm gonna pause for a cause because I gotta throw another poll question out there because this has gotten so good. Yeah, you this has gotten so good. Listen, poll question number two. Now you see Forrest took me to it today. I mean, I'm having a whole moment. He's saying in the middle of this that men need to feel wanted. Men, I need you to jump into the polls. Is it better for you to feel needed or wanted or both? And then please explain because I know there's some women that's on this thread that really want to know. Okay, we're desiring, we want to know because we've been told, you know what, they can be wanted, they don't have to be needed. So today we've had a whole mind correction of, yeah, they need to be needed. Okay, so men, jump in the polls. We want to know, we want to hear just from who? You. Ladies, sit this one out. I want to hear from the men. Let's jump back into this last section. All right, I'm looking forward. So now we've talked about this experience, this marriage, all these things, men needing to be needed. And you talked about the most beautiful piece for me, because y'all know how I am about my mental health and the therapy thing. I love to hear that you are going and taking care of yourself mentally. Talk to me about the turnaround. Because when people think of divorce, the first thing they think about is finances, finances, finances. And just hearing your story without being too nosy in your business, it sounded like divorce caused some concerns financially. How did you turn it around?
Um, it was hard. And this is probably the first time I'm talking about this piece publicly. I was in sales. I spent most of my life in sales. So, for the majority of our relationship, she made more than me. But then, just as we were getting to the part before she filed for divorce, I had
Mhm.
achieved parity with her. I may have been making a little more than her at that point. Not sure because she was not being disclosing everything to me. So I don't know.
Okay.
But um, being that my income depends on what I sell, your mindset is everything when it comes to sales.
Hmm.
If your mindset is screwed up, you are not going to be good at sales.
Wow.
So I was going through it mentally. Yeah, on the outside, I was like, I'm gonna shake it off. I'm gonna keep on going. It's blah 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 blah. I I
Mhm.
I went from around 10 grand a month to to 3 a month. Some months less.
Mm.
Um, and I had to eventually walk away from that job. I had a real conversation with my manager, and she was like, I know you can do this, Forrest. I know I've seen your numbers. I've seen what you can sell and all of this. And she was so nice. She was so good. Um, and I was like, I just feel like I'm not being fair to the company, and I'm not being fair to you right now if I stay.
Wow.
And I literally had to quit my job.
Mm.
I wasn't making any money. And I wasn't making any money because my head wasn't in the game. So I had to take time, do the therapy thing, get myself back on track, and rebuild myself, uh,
Mm.
rebuild my dignity, because my dignity had been trashed at that point. I won't go into details of how that happened, but let me just say this to you, ladies, and I referred to this before. Don't ever emasculate your man. Give him the dignity of being a man, no matter what you feel. Unless he's cheating on you and beating you, abusing you, there's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. So, the comeback was in becoming the person I needed to become in order to
Mm.
have the things that I desired to have.
That's good.
And it was in that struggle, which was an up and down thing. It was in
Mm.
that struggle that I forged myself into who I am today. And that person's still growing, still growing.
Mm.
Um, so let me say this to anyone who's going through a divorce, be it male or female. Don't make life-changing decisions in your valleys.
Mm. Oh, that's good.
Make life-changing divisions on your mountaintops. Because when you're in your valleys, you will make decisions that are born out of lack, scarcity, and desperation.
Mm.
Don't, and this is something that I chose to do, and I recommend this for everybody. There is no house, there is no property, there is no possessions that's worth your sanity. So, whereas I could have hung in there and fought for half the house, I chose not to. I
Mm.
took I took what you would call a bare minimum to just walk away, because there was no way I could see myself tied to this person fighting over this thing for the rest of eternity, which is what it felt like. I need to separate it. I need to go. I need to get out. So don't get caught up fighting about possessions, guys. Let them have it. Let them have it. I don't care. Have enough confidence in yourself to say, take it, because what God has in store for me is going to be bigger and better than anything I ever had with you. So
Mm.
come to that peace in your mind. Know your numbers. Be financially responsible for your own financial literacy, and have a plan for the future. And take what you experienced in that last relationship and build on it. Don't just say, oh, well, that was a fluke. It shouldn't have happened. Own what your part was.
Mm. That's good. Ooh, I like that. Please say that again.
Own what your part was and grow from that, and be determined not to make the same mistake again. And I say this because I just know a couple who got remarried after some years of being divorced. On the going back to your ex, we reach a point after the breakup where we start to get all melancholy, and we long for the good times, and we forget about the bad times. But you know when you'll remember the bad times? When you get back with that person again. You be like, that's why we're not together again.
Mhm.
So If it was a matter of immaturity on both your parts and you have both grown since then, hey, I'm always rooting for love. Go,
Mm.
do it again, but do it the right way. But if you know in your heart of hearts that there was some serious issues there, that you were just two basically different people, don't go back to that fountain and drink again. Go get your water someplace else.
That was deep right there. I'm gonna tell you, you just hit me with that one.
Yeah.
You came back at the fountains and all of that. But I love how you talked about taking accountability of what was your part,
Yeah.
being open and honest,
Hmm.
and hearing the truth that, you know what, this was a relationship at the time. I thought it was beautiful. It had its ups and downs. But I think the statement that stood out to me the most that you said was, don't make any major decisions in the valley.
Right. Right.
That's a statement for me. That's a post today for somebody, y'all.
Hmm.
Don't make no decisions in the valley.
Yeah.
And now that you have turned this all around and we are doing amazing, tell people how they can connect with you, because people need to know that that moment is literally just a moment.
Yeah.
I am literally one mountaintop away from being more amazing than I was before. So how
Right.
can people connect with you? How can they get into this and find more about you and talk about their personal journey as well as their financial journey with you?
Well, the first thing you can do is follow me on YouTube at Intentional Money Solutions. That's my business. You can go to my website, which is intentionalmoneysolutions.com. Intentional, not international. Some people somehow hear that. Intentionalmoneysolutions.com. And on that front page, you'll see book time with me. And anyone can schedule a free strategy session with me where we can just talk about where you are, what your challenges are, and I can give you some helpful tips, some pointers about what direction you should go in. Should you say, you know what? Okay, well, how do I take this further? How can I work with you? We'll discuss that at that time. And I'll you'll get comfortable with me, I'll get comfortable with you. If we're a good match, then we can work together. And I can work one-on-one with you or work with you in a group setting.
Well, let me have a moment. I gotta talk to y'all about this strategy call. When I tell you I left with so many gems in this strategy call, I mean, just jewelry all over the floor. I had so many different conversations and connects on, hey, these are some of the things we can do. And when I tell you he is good as gold, you better believe me, it's good as gold.
Thank you.
So take the time, set up the call, come with paper and pencil prepared. I'm telling you, come with paper and pencil, because he's going to give you some amazing stuff that's going to just take you and your business and your personal life to new heights. So I really wanted to share that. So listen, I'm gonna go into my final word, because this was a whole church service. Okay. Listen, y'all. I'm so glad, I am pleased as punch that you all joined us today. Um, I want to thank Mr. Forrest one more time for just coming on in. I need y'all to clap it up for him, because honey, he was open, he was vulnerable, but most importantly, he was powerful. And as he loves to say, he was intentional about sharing some great pieces with us today. So thank you. You know, you are more than welcome to come on back, because we need some more strategies and tips over here.
Anytime.
That was just an amazing experience. So listen, guys, final thought for today. In the valleys of life, you discover who you really are. On the mountaintop, you discover who everybody else is. So I need you today to make sure that you come on back, tune in for next week on the Patrice Brantley Show, where on this show we help others, because that's the name of the game. And what we push: purpose, positivity, and personal growth. I look forward to seeing you the next time. Have an amazing day.